everyone, I am here today with David Hestrin, author of The Cure for Blur. This is a must-read for anyone who wants to improve their eyesight naturally and also anyone who wants to prevent their eyes from poor vision later on. Back in January of 2009, David encouraged me and helped me to get rid of my reading glasses for good. I have not put them back on since, and I'm really excited about that, and my vision has improved greatly and it continues to improve, and I'm really excited about having David here today to be able to share his wisdom with you and talk about his book. So
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being here. I would love to have you share your story about how you got rid of your glasses.
Okay.
And kind of how you got into writing your book.
I first took off my glasses in 2008, and I did so after reading a book by Dr. Meir Schneider called, I believe it was called Vision, My Life and Healing. And I'd later interview him, and I met him in person. He's an amazing healer who does more than just eyesight healing, but working with arthritis and I believe muscular dystrophy.
Wow.
And he also had a unique condition in that he was born and they did a bunch of surgeries on his eyes, and
wow.
If you look at his pupil, when it's fully expanded, it's like a pie that has a piece taken out of it.
Wow.
So he's got this completely different type of condition, but he managed to improve his eyesight to the point of around 20/60, and I think he's continued to improve throughout his life. I believe he's in his 50s now. So I read his book, and I'd taken off my glasses, and I heard about pinhole eyeglasses. It's something that I love to tell people to do because you can see something instantly, is take off your glasses, your contacts, and just make a tiny little hole, and then put it up right up to your eye, and then you'll see instantly that you can actually see more clearly. And so that's kind of a good kind of like experience that can get someone kind of interested in the possibility of eyesight improvement.
Yeah, definitely. So you were able to get rid of your glasses, and how did you do that? What was the process that you took to do that?
And the process took some time, and basically when I really got started with it, I was living in Berlin, Germany, and I was living off some of my savings, and so I didn't have to do any work, or I wasn't driving. And then I was living in Israel, and also there I was not driving. This was around a period of a year. So that was really helpful to not have to do these things, and not be in school, and not have to work for other people. Although now I see that it's completely feasible for anybody to improve their eyesight, and it can be done in a very short period of time. There are people that it's a matter of hours or days. On my website, it's cureforblur.com, I show a couple of sessions, Skype sessions, and a person improves their eyesight threefold within less than 45 minutes.
That's amazing.
It all kind of goes to show you that it really is just kind of like how you use your eyes, and I think people are kind of confused into thinking that they have some kind of like a disease that is like some kind of, I don't know, something like more hard or like incurable. Yeah, like something
unchangeable.
Like,
yeah.
And it's not the case. And basically, I began in Germany, and I'd taken off my glasses, and I think the big thing was just reading some of what Dr. Bates wrote, who he's one of like the pioneers of eyesight improvement. And just what he said was, he just put forth this statement which is saying that stress and strain are connected to blurry vision, and that it's the stress and strain that causes blurry vision. And I just kind of looked into myself and into how I feel physically, found that, yeah, my neck was really tight, my shoulders were really tight, my back was really tight. I don't know that I noticed how tight my face was or my eyes, but those all seemed to be true. And so I was like, well, I mean, it couldn't really hurt to try to get rid of the stress and strain. I was still, I'd say, pretty skeptical, or at least not really just like, oh, wow, I can improve my eyesight. I'm going to do that this afternoon, and I'm just going to see crystal clear. It wasn't at that level, but, I was willing to take off my glasses, and as soon as I basically relaxed a bit, I noticed an improvement of eyesight. What I did was an Alexander technique method, which is basically lying down on a flat surface with your knees up and a book under your head and your hands around here, like your like gut level. And within 20 minutes of that, I just noticed that my whole posture changed when I went back to the computer. And what it ended up being was something like this, where I'm on the computer feeling like sort of like I'm on a cloud. And before that, it was really like this, just like the stereotypical, hunched over person on the computer. And I did notice a visual difference in that I was able to read the computer screen when I was sitting up like this, whereas before it was just a little bit too blurry.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing with myself, that especially after talking with you several times, how much the stress really does affect your vision, and tuning into my own body and recognizing how tight my shoulders are, how tight my muscles are, and how stressed and strained I was, and amazing how at the end of the day, because I noticed that you said that in your book, at the end of the day you can be really tired and your vision can be so blurry, but then you get a really good night's sleep and you wake up and your vision is really clear again.
Yeah.
And I definitely noticed that with myself. I noticed my vision changing throughout the day very often.
Yeah, absolutely. That fact that people's eyesight changes on a daily basis is one that is completely accepted by Western medicine. And sometimes when you talk about basically any type of healing that would affect tons of people, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't really believe that because why don't we know about that? Or then why are so many people using this method or something? But the fact that people's eyesight changes and fluctuates on a daily basis is completely accepted. And that's why contacts and glasses and LASIK surgery are really not precise methods for your optimal vision, because when you get a glasses or contacts or LASIK surgery, it's one specific alteration to where the light falls. So if you consider that your eyeball is actually, say, changing its shape on a daily basis, if you have a lens, it's always going to point the light in that same place. So it's not working with your natural biological rhythms and changes.
Right. And one of the things that I love about your book is that you focus so much on relaxation. That's one of it's so fun for me to read about that, because I tend to be more stressed all the time. So when I read about relaxing, and it just feels good to even just read about it and think about relaxing. It's like, yes, that's how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be more relaxed. We're supposed to be able to breathe deeper and breathe better. And so if you can just maybe share with the viewers maybe a couple of relaxation techniques that you use, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, when you said something about that we're supposed to be relaxed or something like that, I think that in itself would be the biggest technique, where it's not even necessarily a technique, but it's kind of like having this enduring belief that there's a way that you're supposed to be, or that you have this kind of natural mode of relating to the world or interacting, and that just by having that notion, it kind of lets you sort of like move around and find it, or realize that it's already there. Because we do change, you have all these different situations and you meet situations in different ways, but having this idea or this sense that everything can be done gracefully or with poise or in a way that is enriching you is something that really made sense to me. And it's like, well, why would I do something if it isn't benefiting me? Or, how is it going to help me to be stressed or worried? Usually these are just because the right action is not being taken, or that you don't perceive yourself as taking the right action. I mean, there's so many different situations where, you have an emergency room doctor, who probably didn't even get enough sleep, as most of them don't, and now he's in a super stressful situation, and they can still feel that they're in flow and be physically relaxed so that they can use the scalpel or whatever it is that they need to do. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of look at ourselves and it's like, well, I'm freaking out because someone didn't call me back, or, it's like I'm going to be late for a soccer game or something, so it's like when you have this idea that it doesn't really make sense for you to behave in that manner, then that can sort of like pave the way for your behavior to just make a lot more sense.
I think that's another thing that I really loved about your book, is that so many of the other books out there are like, you have to do these specific exercises, you have to go through this routine of looking up and looking down and doing this other stuff, where your technique of just relaxing is so much more conducive to life, everyday life. It's like it helps everything in your life. It's not just about your eyes. I mean, you're helping your whole entire system as a whole, and it's really good.
Yeah, fundamentally, my understanding has been, and really expect will be, that having clear vision is not about doing more, but it's about not doing the things that cause the blurry vision. And sometimes I think that maybe that's not actually necessarily that true, and that glasses and contacts can train some visual habits that are not that helpful once you're trying to see without them. So just one example is that in order to focus, we have to make certain muscular contractions or relaxations in order to see.
So is there a difference between doing eye exercises and your book, which focuses more on relaxation?
Yes and no. There are a number of exercises and activities that I mentioned in the book, like one of which I feel is really key is getting more rest and just spending more time either in bed or however you're sleeping, and using that time to process your feelings and to let your body move in the way that it feels like moving. I feel that the major cause of disease that we have is not listening to our bodies and constantly commanding our bodies to do things that our bodies don't necessarily want to do. So staying up late when our bodies are saying like, hey, I'm tired, I want my eyes to be closed, and we're forcing our eyes to be open. So I mean, if we're thinking about like, a person has eye problems, their eyes tell them to do one thing, they do the other thing. It's like, it would be worth looking into whether, if we start to do what our eyes tell us to do, if we are going to see more clearly, have less visual strain. I mean, it's not like our bodies are going to complain just for no reason.
Right.
It's like when you're in pain, it's usually because you're doing something wrong, or there's something that is impacting you in some way. So the same with the eyes. But I guess, more direct to the point, until we needed glasses, we didn't need to do any eye exercises. There are plenty of people of all ages that have clear vision that don't need to do eye exercises. There's some differences in habits. They find that people that spend more time outdoors have better eyesight, and basically being relaxed is not, in my opinion, so much of a to-do as a not to do.
Right.
So
that's what I love.
So that's kind of
And I really do feel like that has made such a huge difference with my vision as well. I can just see the difference in the relaxation and how much it really helps. And one of the statements that you made in the book that really kind of hit home is that the danger most run into is that a painful, tense habit becomes ignored and no longer felt, and the mind checks out of the body instead of checking in. I think that is really powerful. That really is a statement that hit home for me.
Yeah, that actually reminds me of something that I kind of forgot about, which was how difficult the process was kind of at first, because my body was in a good deal of pain, and the tension was, it's not fun to feel neck tension or shoulder tension and feel like you don't know how to release it. And a lot of my process was to bring my mind back to attend to the pain and back to getting more familiar with it and to understand what's going on, because it was something that you just kind of like forget about. It's just like you move through life and it's like, yeah, this is my head to neck relationship, and this is how I walk around, and you just kind of forget about it and you compensate, but that's not the ideal. And it's amazing, I think, because those things can be processed really quickly. You find that when you're in the right zone, like when you're sleeping and you have, say, on the weekend or something, you don't have commitment for the whole day, and you just decide, I'm going to put this day to just do what feels the best. And it just so happens that it feels the best to just stay in bed. And you might stay in bed for, who knows? It could be just another hour, or maybe you feel like staying in bed for another 6 or 7 hours. And then you get up and you're like, wow, this is really amazing. I feel fantastic. And you might notice that your head and neck and shoulders and all these things are so much more loose than they are before, because, and this is kind of why I don't think that it's like so much about the exercises, because there is some way where we're sending signals to our shoulders or our backs or our necks or our eyes to be in a certain place. And it's not that we need to like do so many exercises and things like that to get your shoulders or back where your body wants them to be. Although these activities and focusing on these things do, if done properly, they really help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, and I agree with that. And that's another part of the book that I loved, is that you talked about the intuitive journey and listening to your intuitive guidance. And like you were saying, listen to your body, and if you feel like staying in bed for 10 minutes or 6 hours or whatever, it really does make such a difference to pay attention to that and follow that guidance. That was really, really powerful. And in that same, did you want to say anything about that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I just about the previous question was about the becoming numb to things and then reawakening to them. I think that that's really important here as well, where there are a bunch of feelings that you might not have really paid that much attention to, and then you start to open yourself to them. The process of relaxation is also like the process of being more open and to feeling things on a higher degree.
Another big thing was looking at your fears.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big thing for a lot of people. And could you just touch a little bit more on facing your fears?
Yeah. So I think that school is a big part of this, and that what I think is happening, I mean, this is like my idea, so far as I know, I'm sure other people might have this as well, is that a lot of us are blurring their vision because of being in this context of school and basically having contradicting impulses. A person wants to look outside, they want to talk to their friends, they want to leave the room, they want to talk. There's so many impulses that we have that are being kind of trained out of us. And you imagine, being 8 years old and having so much energy, or on the other side, being 8 years old, being forced to wake up early, go do things that you don't want to do, eat food that isn't healthful to you, and then being forced to stay up. So we've got, it's we're being mistrained on both sides. Whether you have a lot of energy, you're forced to sit down. Whether you don't have a lot of energy, you're forced to sit up.
Right.
So you're being trained to work against your impulses,
right.
fundamentally. And what I think happens is that you have these impulses, so you have these muscles around your eyes, and you have these two impulses at once. I want to look outside. The teacher says stare straight, don't let your eyes wander. I mean, these are like literally the phrases that they're saying,
exactly.
which are exactly what your eyes are built to do. Your eyes aren't meant to just stare at one point for 50 minutes at a time, and then stare at the same point fundamentally for another 50 minutes. If you just think about your eyes' function, it's to get a clear sense of your environment. And the way you get a clear sense of your environment is by looking around. You know, you like, I can't see up there without looking there.
Right.
You know, so if you're taught, just stare straight, then you're
going against your basic instincts,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Did you find when you were going through the process of improving your eyes, was shallow breathing an issue for you?
I think so. I mean, it's been a while, but
Did you take, I guess I'm curious, did you take time to focus on your breathing every day, or was that like a...
I did, around that period I was meditating pretty much every day. I mean, that year was actually the year when I was pretty much meditating every day. And since before then, I was just aware of my breathing, and and I think this is something that I wrote about and I think is important, is just to be aware of your physical experience and have physical experiences. So, walking, noticing your body,
Right.
Noticing your breathing, noticing your feeling, noticing your feeling in different parts of your body, just by mentally putting yourself there. How do your feet feel? How do your knees, your shoulders? I found that breathing is related to relaxation. If you're relaxed, you're breathing in a way that's different to when you're tense. And if your shoulders and your neck are tense, which are things that are common for people with blurry vision, then improving your breathing can improve your posture. Improving your posture can improve your breathing. Or just kind of forgetting the whole thing and just kind of letting yourself be relaxed and not doing anything, which is kind of a different perspective, because there are different perspectives. There's people that are going to say do breathing exercises and try to count breaths and things like that. And then there's my understanding of what the Alexander technique says, which is you're really supposed to be breathed, like that the universe is kind of breathing you, and that you're not supposed to really put your mind into that.
Going back on tuning in, because I think that's a really big deal. I feel like a lot of people don't. It kind of goes back to that statement of your mind kind of checking out, and so many people it's almost like that thing where that statement, doing the same thing over and over again, kind of expecting different results. And I feel like so many people aren't tuning in to their bodies, and we do rely on glasses and contacts and that type of thing, instead of taking action for ourselves and really paying attention to our bodies and doing what we need to do to really thrive and be able to see and all of that. So I think that I think it's so great that you really touch on that in your book.
Yeah, I think something that we should all consider is that there's a cause to the blurry vision in the first place. And if there's a cause, then should be a way to prevent it. In general, it's not actually true. No,
yeah, but it's most people just think that blurry vision is just something that they accept as they get older,
right.
And they don't realize that.
Yeah, and that doesn't make sense. There are people that are older that have clear eyesight, and if you look at the statistics right now, people's eyesight has gotten dramatically worse in the last 30 years. So, at least they say 50% of the people have worse eyesight because of things that have changed recently. So we're talking about not spending as much time outdoors, maybe having worse attitudes, maybe worse nutrition, but fundamentally there are very clear differences between people that have clear eyesight and people that are having blurry eyesight, and it's not genetics, it's behaviors.
Yeah.
If they're feeling how they think they're supposed to feel, or if they have, if they feel that they basically have psychic baggage or psychological baggage that is, hindering their experience, like in the present, and that's kind of what I think the book is about, is like how to process your baggage or garbage or the stuff that you kind of carry with you that you don't necessarily need at this moment. You got angry at your boss 2 days ago, your shoulders got tense, you wanted to punch him, and you just didn't shake it off, or you were in class and the teacher yelled at you and really hurt your feelings, and you started crying and you just couldn't see things straight then, and then you got glasses, and then things just got worse because that's how it works. Those are very real possibilities and things that you really can process with the right context and tools and understanding. So that's what it's about, and that's what I really want to share with people, so that they can enjoy their life so much more and kind of get back into this attitude where there's a lot to be discovered, and that it's really, really worthwhile to pay attention, really close attention to how you're feeling in the present moment, so that you can experience what life has to offer.
And how about the different types of eye issues? Some people are nearsighted, some people are farsighted. You had astigmatism, I have astigmatism. How does that all relate to this process of getting our vision back?
Well, fundamentally, I think it really has to do with processing the feelings that you have, and that when, I can tell a little story. I was working with someone, and we're having conversation, a really friendly conversation, and we started talking about eye issues. He was farsighted, and so one of the things that's valuable to do is just to measure what's going on. So look, at 1 feet I can read, but at 11 inches I cannot. Mm-hmm. And then when you see one day that you can read at 10 inches, then for a fact, yes, my eyesight has improved, or that it fluctuates, and then you can start to investigate, well, what are the causes and how do I move? And then you might notice a day later 9 inches. Either way, so we were doing that. I just held out a piece of paper that had some writing on it, mm-hmm. and I was moving it forward, and I like most people, you can feel the energy of the people around, their vibe, mm-hmm. or something. And so I was moving forward, everything was fine, right? We're feeling good, friendly. Mm-hmm. As soon as I moved it, say, this distance, I felt there's a shift in the vibe, and that now he's uncomfortable.
Wow.
And he didn't, make these really abrupt motions or something like that, but, I felt it, and then I heard him say, like, okay, I can't read it now. So it's this same thing where you get uncomfortable. That kind of causes it, or was caused by the situation. Mm-hmm. And when we learn to just become more comfortable, we're getting rid of the basic stress and strain habits that are keeping things blurred. And the relationship just between stress and strain and blurriness is just, it's completely there. So whether you're farsighted or nearsighted, there are different ways that the behavior manifests, and what a person might be uncomfortable with. So for example, farsightedness tends to be more connected to like a fear of like more close type things. Mm-hmm. And the nearsightedness future type things, which, obviously has a certain, like, there's certain, I don't say poetry or whatever, so, there's, it makes sense. It makes sense either way, simply because if things are blurry next to you, you're less comfortable handling it. If things are blurry far away from you, it's like, who is that person over there? Oh, I can't tell, oh, this is kind of, a little uncomfortable with this or something. So energetically, if we're talking psychologically or something, there's kind of a difference into what skills you want to kind of improve. But fundamentally, everybody has their feelings, like in the present moment, and everybody has the potential to be healthier and to be more relaxed and to see more clearly. And I think that everyone can basically listen to their bodies, and they're going to get really massive results to the degree that they can listen to their bodies. And for some people, it can be more of a struggle in that they have patterns, avoidance patterns, which I've had, and that I think many people have, ways to medicate or ways to kind of avoid it. It's like, yeah, I could process the traumas I had, or I could watch TV, or I could, gamble, or I could, whatever it is, drink or drugs, or, you can see friends that aren't going to, that are great friends, but they're just not going to try to get you to process your feelings, or, they're not there to tell you, hey, your neck is in the wrong place, or your shoulder, that they just accept you as you are, and they don't want to change you, and that's, maybe a good thing for friendships. But, there are ways to avoid doing that, and if you don't avoid it and you find ways to pay attention and to release attention, then your eyesight should improve.
We are in San Juan right now at the train depot area, and so if you hear bells ringing and trains going by, that's why. So do you have any stories that you can share of either your personal story or people that you've worked with? Some testimonials?
Yeah, I have a personal story that I think is pretty interesting. And I interviewed Greg Marsh, who's a certified natural vision teacher out of Fort Collins, Colorado. And the day before the day of the interview, I tried palming. Palming is a technique where you simply cover your eye orbitals, and you do it for a certain amount of time and imagine darkness or blackness, seeing darkness or blackness. And so I did it because I was a journalist for naturalnews.com, and I wanted to be more prepared kind of for the interview, and I hadn't really palmed before, and so I did it, and during that process I recovered a memory of a somewhat traumatic experience of being in, I think, around the 6th grade, and a teacher holding my face, like kind of grabbing my cheeks or something like that to sort of like prevent me from talking, and she berated me and said, like, you're not going to talk or something like that. And I thought about it, and that was around the time that I first got glasses. So I definitely found that's interesting that I'd recover a memory that I hadn't thought about since it happened through this process. So that was one of the things that I thought was definitely
that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I actually had a similar type of experience where, after talking with you and consulting with you, I remembered when I was in the 2nd grade, and that's when I got glasses, was in 2nd grade, and I remembered a time of being in the classroom, and one of the boys in the classroom was sick, and he stood up and projectile vomited across the room all over the teacher. And it was like one of those things where it was like just this horrid sight, it's terrible. And that was right around the time when I needed to get glasses. And so it's amazing how those kinds of experiences can affect us.
Yeah. And the other thing that, unfortunately I don't remember the name of the book, but I was reading this book and it was talking about how these traumas, fundamentally, we can look back and be like, wait, we're still holding on to how we saw the world as maybe a 5-year-old or a 12-year-old or whatever it is, and that if those experiences happen to us as adults, even if we'd say like this is really bad, it probably wouldn't traumatize us in the same way. So it's kind of like check in and kind of update your sense of self, or like where you are, because like we might still be carrying this fear of this or that, which is only because of what happens when you were 12 or 14 or 15. And if you had these just a few different kind of imprint experiences, you'd be fine with them. Just like certain people say, oh, I hate broccoli or something like that, and it was because of this one time. Maybe that was a time when your parents were really fed up with you and they yelled at you, eat your broccoli, and and it was just like, you're just like super scared. And then after you're like, oh, okay, this is just like a vegetable. It's not like this terrible thing, but we can be imprinted with psychological experiences.
Definitely. Oh, I wanted to ask you too about the whole melanin thing, melatonin.
Yeah.
At night when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Does it matter, like, if there's lights coming in from outside, like say street lights or whatever? Does that affect how you sleep?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something that you can just test for yourself. So basically just take a sheet, if you have a dark sheet or a double sheet, and just put thumbtacks in it and cover your windows, turn off all lights in your room, and just notice how you sleep, notice how long you sleep.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to notice that they're sleeping for more hours and a lot more soundly.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, that's just one of those amazing things where it's like, we could do things a lot differently than we do, and we should expect to get a lot different results. Like, we're expecting everybody, we eat unhealthy, we don't exercise, we do this, but no, of course we can't reverse these diseases.
Right.
So it's like, well, what if we changed what we were doing and changed it dramatically, or not that dramatically? You just put the things up, go for a walk and see if you can relax. It can be very, very simple.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. When I was fasting, actually after the fast, during the Banana Island portion of the trip, and we were out walking, like in the forest, or walking out in the back of the property area. It was just like so beautiful, and there were so many rocks everywhere, like really beautiful rocks, and it was amazing how fun it was just to like look at the rocks and pick them up, and people were skipping the rocks on the water, and it's like that's better than any video game that you could play, and it's like you're so interactive with, and it's just like amazing, all the senses, your senses being involved and being outdoors. It's like so beautiful. I'm really glad you brought that up, because I really want to just share how much my visual experience of life has changed. I wore glasses. Supposedly I had 2015 vision with the glasses, but my experience of the visual world wasn't anywhere near what it is now. Just the enjoyment, and I'm also noticing the binocular vision, or your 3D vision. I just noticed that even just recently it's changed dramatically. And again, if you just think about how your eyes are set up, I mean, if you put these two lenses that are only pointing the light appropriately to these 2 points, only when your eyes are in a certain way, and even then, I don't know that they're designed in a good enough way where your eyes are converging. If your eyes are looking straight, that's when the light's going straight back. But what if your eyes converge this much? Is the light hitting the back of your retina in the exact way that it should? I don't think so. And I just noticed just these huge changes. Like, I'm noticing mountains to the distance that I just never noticed. So
you can have these visual habits that make a really big difference. And also, if you have stress and strain like in your eyes, you're feeling stress and strain as you're seeing. So it's kind of like, can you appreciate something really beautiful while it pains you to see it? It's like you can, but it's going to be different. And then it's also different because your eyes move in a different way. The picture that you get is so much different when your eyes actually move, say, 15 times compared to, say, moving twice. If we have the glasses on and we're just staring, it kind of like makes it more like a two-dimensional picture. When your eyes are moving and your neck is more relaxed and your shoulders are more relaxed and maybe your whole body is more relaxed and you're moving more, then your picture and experience is it's a much different level, and it's really it's just such a joy to see things clearly.
Yeah, that's great. One of the things that really helped me a lot with my vision was actually consulting with David. And he is available for consulting. And we'll post the link below, but what is your website for consulting?
cureforblur.com.
cureforblur.com. So we'll put a link below for that so you can check that out. And also definitely get David's book. We'll also put that link below as well. Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and information and helping people to see clearly.
Thank you.